It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world. And who else could we do it without but our good friend Drew? You ready for this, buddy?
I am ready for this. There are some terrific books this week. Let's talk about these terrific books.
It's definitely a DC week, but every time that you get Batman and Robin and Aquaman and Dark Patterns out the same week, it's a big DC week. But they had one book that kind of was the main event, Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, from the creative team behind Ice Cream Man, W. Maxwell Prince, Martin Morazzo. This is a very, very strange book. It's not something I'm willing to recommend, but if you're into Ice Cream Man and you want a very Silver Agey, weird take on Superman, this might be for you. They discover some type of kryptonite meteor with 4 different types of kryptonite in it that they've never discovered. And Superman thinks that it would be a great idea to experiment on himself just in case Lex Luthor or somebody else got their hands on it. Batman is vehemently against this idea, but really the fun are the little robots doing all the weird stuff that you used to see back in the Silver Age.
This feels like it has a slight adult touch to it with the moments involving Lois Lane and moments with Lex Luthor. So in a sense, it feels like it's the Ice Cream Man team is going for an all-star Superman approach, because there was a Superman type story with an elevated, serious tone. And Martin Morazzo's art style is very reminiscent of Frank Quitely in this. I'm not saying it's exactly like it, but it's very similar. With Frank, you could tell he was meant to draw superheroes, but Martin kind of, sort of, it feels more of like a sarcastic take on superheroes. I'm not a big fan of how he draws Batman, but to be honest, the weirder moments for me in this were like when involve Lois getting ready to turn 40 and wanting a baby, because I can't really recall in the past where Lois was anxious to have a kid, as she was written here. But all in all, it's fine. It's a strange read. Just know it's very strange.
And I think too long is probably the bigger problem with it. And I don't think they needed that much real estate to tell the story that they're going for here. So it just gets really boring and kind of bogged down. And when you realize that the big thing with purple kryptonite or whatever it is that they're dealing with this time is it affects the part of Superman's brain that allows him to experience life in sequential order. So things are happening out of order. And there is a neat moment where he grabs all the pieces and shows you exactly how the story plays out. But the story wasn't interesting enough. And what the kryptonite did to Superman wasn't interesting enough for that payoff to feel big to me. And it certainly didn't warrant the price tag or the time spent trying to get to the end.
It's a very silly effect. It's not serious. It's not catastrophic. It's an effect on him mentally, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing catastrophic or really that dangerous. Granted,
I would use the word interesting. It's nothing interesting.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, the conversations between Superman and Batman, those go on way too long. It's like, okay, we get it. Batman doesn't like it. Batman wants to get rid of it. Superman, you want to test it. Okay, we don't have to have several pages of you guys debating this. We understand. But I'm hoping we don't get more of that in the subsequent issues, because if we do, it's going to make for a very long read. And there's only, 5 issues in this series? Ooh, we could be in for a long ride.
So certainly not the worst thing I've ever read, but a bit of a miss for me. But I did think it was always strange putting the Ice Cream Man team on a Superman book. And I think those concerns were probably well warranted and justified after getting this first issue. But if you're looking for something very weird, that's probably going to be the book for you. But it's certainly not the book for me. But we did have some great books that I think most of us can agree are a lot of fun. Starting out with the indie comic books, Space Ghost Volume 2, Number 1, David Pepos writing, Jonathan Lau on art. This takes place right after the end of Space Ghost Annual, with the grandparents of Jason Jan entering the scene, believing that they will probably be in better hands with their own family, and the kids explaining to him just exactly what Dax, or Space Ghost as you may, has meant to them and what he's brought to their life, and the fact that they do have a real family right now. While this is going on, Space Ghost is taking on the toy maker in a pretty fun little adventure thing that's going on. So I think it's really good. I just don't know why they reset it to a number 1.
It's a fun issue to launch this new series, because if you're not familiar with the kids, or you're not familiar with who Space Ghost is, David does a pretty good job here of telling you who they are. But I would hope it would drive you to pick up those prior issues of the prior run, because they are truly fantastic. And Jonathan Lau, once again, he does a terrific job here with not only the fight scenes, but the real somber and emotional moments with the kids and their uncle. And I really dig this villain, the Toymaker. I love. I think he's terrific. I hope we get to see more of him in the future. He has potential to be really, really creepy. Yeah, this is a terrific first issue again, and I hope everyone jumps onto this relaunch.
Absolutely. And I'm a huge fan of Arcade and Murder World and X-Men, and I got all kinds of that kind of flavor. So it was definitely a comic book tailor-made for me. Also going to recommend Transformers 23, Daniel Warren Johnson writing, Jorge Corona on art. We've only got one issue left before Daniel Warren Johnson exits. This is easily, hands down, my pick of the week in a very good week. I feel like Transformers just stands above everything else out there. We get this amazing moment where the Autobots are just at their lowest point. It doesn't look like Optimus is going to be able to come back. They basically have accepted the inevitable, but they're going to make their last stand. They're going to try to save humanity, or at least protect the people that they can. The Decepticons are converging on them. Megatron is as disgusting and evil and terrifying as he's ever been. And then we start to see what Optimus is going through at the Hall of Primes and all the weird things that's happened to him and the people that have been lost along the way. I got a little bit misty-eyed. I didn't cry, but I was closer than I would have expected to on a robot comic book. This particular issue is just as good as the first issue that I gave a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 perfect comic book score to. I think this issue is perfect.
So I agree with you, Wes. I might have had a slight salty discharge from my eyes reading this, maybe. But yeah, it is all out war in this issue, and it really reminded me of the original animated movie in that tone. It is the Autobots' most desperate hour as they are on the cusp of losing this war. They're at the cusp of it's going to be the Decepticons' planet. But can they regroup and counteract the Decepticons? Also, like you said, Optimus is gone, but could there be a way for him to come back? But who could help him in that Matrix of leadership? You got to read to find out. This was a very fast-paced, action-packed, kick-ass, violent, and drawn so damn well comic book. By the very last page, if your fist isn't pumping, and I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm ready for the next issue. I cannot wait. I'm waiting with bated breath. Strongest recommends for Transformers number 23. This is next issue is going to be explosive. I guarantee it.
I feel like Daniel Warren Johnson is setting up Robert Kirkman for an epic fail. There's no way he's going to be able to keep up with what's going on here. It is that high level and that good.
Only way is if we get Unicron. That's the only way to top this at this point.
Now let's head on over to Marvel Comics. I'm going to recommend Spider-Man and Wolverine number 4. Mark Guggenheim writing, Gerardo Sandoval on art. Gerardo comes in and channels his inner Carrie Andrews, and he's not quite Carrie Andrews, but he comes pretty darn close. And this is a frenetic, fast-paced, balls-to-the-wall, non-stop action issue as we've got Doc Ock in China fighting Spider-Man in the black suit and Wolverine in the yellow and tan. Eventually, Wolverine is fighting Doc Ock solo. Spider-Man ends up in New York with this new villain called Dread Shadow that appears to be some type of juggernaut samurai type character. And it is so much fun to look at. The action is everything that you would ever want in a comic book. The story, maybe not so much. The story is kind of whatever. But the energy coming out of it just pulled me along, and I'm definitely going to recommend it.
This issue was good. But yeah, this issue is bug nuts crazy. But yeah, so I didn't look at the credits of this initially because I assumed Carrie Andrews was going to be drawing this. But throughout the issue, I noticed that something was different. And I was looking at the panel layouts. I noticed they weren't as creative or dynamic, and was thinking this looks not as wild by Carrie. And wouldn't you know it, Carrie didn't draw it. I'm not saying it's bad because it's good. Gerardo does a decent job, but I'm here for the Carrie Andrews show and his paneling and the angles and the dynamics. It's still fun and bat crap crazy issue, but it lacks that Carrie Andrews touch. But yeah, I still recommend everyone check this out. This is turning into a very fun miniseries, and I'm very curious to see where this all leads to in issue 5.
Yeah, it's been a wild, wild ride. Definitely hoping Carrie comes back for the next issue. Next up, we got Predator Kills the Marvel Universe number 1. Ben Percy writing, Marcelo Ferreira on art, Daniel Picciotto on art as well. And this is mostly going to be a Drew recommend. There are a couple of aspects about the book that I enjoy. The idea of Kraven joining up with the Predators makes a whole lot of sense. And I do think you've got the foundational elements of what could be a pretty cool story, but it just kind of devolves into murder porn. And that's kind of what the book feels like to me. And the fact that the art is inconsistent, I think there are moments where Marcelo Ferreira really elevates the idea and really delivers. But there are other moments where the other artist kind of just makes Sue Storm look really strange. And they didn't really coalesce to me. And by the end, I found it to be rather forgettable.
Your title is called Blank Kills the Marvel Universe, or Blank Kills the DC Universe. I expect that. I want that. I want that murder porn. Like Punisher kills the Marvel Universe by Garth Dennis. I want that murder porn. And so full disclosure, I had no intention of reading this because these Predator kills and the aliens lay eggs with books leading up to this have more or less been less than stellar or just straight up sucked because they didn't have the guts to really kill anyone or hurt anyone of significance in the Marvel Universe. But imagine my shock. I was busting out laughing with the insane and violent deaths in this issue. I mean, they killed characters I did not see coming because I didn't think Percy had the balls to do it. And I found myself enjoying this and enjoying this all the way through to the very final page. This, to me, I thought this was bloody well done and a strong recommend. And yeah, I love the involvement of Craven. It's very true to the character. The art isn't the strongest, I agree. Hopefully, it'll be picking back up in the next issue. And hopefully, Ben Percy can keep up this pace because we know he really can't. But I hope he can keep up this pace and this murder porn that I'm enjoying. Recommend for Predator Kills Marvel Universe.
I will fully admit I'm highly biased and have never liked any book that says kills to whatever universe. It's just never been my thing.
Gotcha.
Moving over to DC Comics, as we got 3 more books to recommend, starting out with Aquaman number 8, Jeremy Adams writing, John Timms on art, and we finally get to the big conflict, the big payoff. Dagon versus Aquaman and his new team, and we see the final form of Dagon. He's not just some type of Thanos clone. He's actually a big type of Kraken monster or something like that. And there's a moment where it appears that Aquaman might not be able to pull this one out, and he makes a deal with somebody. It almost feels like he might be going evil in the future. I'm not really sure what happened in there, but John Timms absolutely owns this particular issue. This was a fantastic payoff to everything that Jeremy Adams has been building up since the very first issue when we saw the Pearl, and it became the Omega symbol. The city of Atlantis was lost. Mira was lost. The daughter was lost. It all comes full circle here, and I think he delivered on every inch of the promise of what he set up in a very exciting issue.
Yeah, I absolutely love this issue. This opens with Arthur before he was Aquaman as a kid, having failed to save a family when he was younger. But he has his dad there to tell him, be stronger than the pain and rise like the tide. I love it. And it really reflects to what happens in this book. And this leads into an epic final battle between Aquaman and Dagon. Who's going to die? Who's going to survive? You got to read to find out. I won't spoil it, but the pacing, panel layouts, the colors, the dialogue, it all has weight. Jeremy Adams, John Timms hit a grand slam with this issue, and it really is a beacon of what superhero comics could be and should be. This is a strong recommend for Aquaman. I saw your video you did earlier this week on the sales figures for Aquaman. It is a shame because this really should be up there in the top 10 books being read right now.
It's been an absolutely phenomenal ride, and he really paid it off there. I am on board for Aquaman for the long haul. Also going to recommend Batman and Robin number 24, Philip Kennedy Johnson writing, Miguel Mendoza on art. And this is the culmination of the big story that PKJ has been doing for quite a while, the Gotham cycle, where Memento, who might be the supernatural force that's going after Bruce Wayne's son, Damian. Finally, we get the big payoff. Where did this come from? How does it all fit in there? Is Damian Wayne going to choose to follow in his grandfather, Thomas Wayne's path and become a doctor and go help people that way? Or is he going to follow down the path of his father and truly become, the understudy and partner to Batman? I thought this was all really well done, really well paid off. Junie Baugh comes in and does a few pages at the end that I thought were really well added to the story. I really enjoyed this finale.
The Memento story comes to its conclusion finally. But for me, I felt like it went on a tad too long. And this has been going on since October last year, I believe. This has been going on for almost a year. But hey, I still enjoyed it. Gotham's on fire. Will Batman finally be able to stop Memento, or will Memento take him out? And what if Damian? Will he and Bruce come out of this back as a family? hopefully alive. You got to read to find out. It's a solid conclusion. It's a good conclusion to a very long story. However, it's very good, but I think there's another Batman title we're going to talk about that I feel finally trumps this one. It's still good. It's still a recommend. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Philip Kennedy Johnson, he's doing a great job on Batman and Robin.
I think Batman and Robin is probably the best Batman book out there at the moment, even better than Absolute Batman, although I know a lot of people would disagree with me. But I think you're hinting at Batman Dark Patterns number 9, Dan Watters writing, Hayden Sherman on art, and we get another conclusion to another story. These are all done in 3-issue arcs. This weird rookery story with the lineage or the legacy of the Red Hood gang going back 70 years. Batman has been shot in the back. He's on the floor. He's tied up. And we've got this grandfather and his 2 grandsons, and they're kind of talking to Batman. And Batman has finally figured it out that these guys are frauds. He calls them on all their bullshit. It's got a very weird, twisted ending that's very melancholy. You don't see Batman lose very often. And he takes an enormous loss in this issue in a way that I never, ever in a million years saw coming. Bloody well done by Dan Watters, and I'm definitely on board and ready for the next 3-issue story arc.
Batman is at his weakest physically in this book. Yeah, he's shot in the back, tied up, near death. Will he come out of this alive? Will this be the return of the Red Hood gang? Gotta read to find out. Like you said, Wes, I didn't expect or see any of the events coming which transpire in this issue, especially toward the end. There comes a point in this where I was just like, oh no. And because what happens to a particular character in this would never happen in a mainstream Batman or Superman comic. Chip wouldn't do it. Tom King wouldn't do it. Neither would Tom Taylor. It is straight up shocking. And one other aspect I love of this issue is that despite Batman being at his absolute weakest physically, his brain is still his deadliest weapon, and it's fantastic to see him use it like the damn good detective that he is. And so not only has Dan Watters written a terrific story, but Hayden Sherman, holy crap, give this guy all the Ringo awards. We know the Eisners don't really matter and are fixed, but Hayden Sherman puts on a clinic of how to lay out a page, build suspense, tension, emotion, and how to make dynamic angles and the usage of shadows. I would love to work with this guy. Not the Hayden Sherman on Absolute Wonder Woman. This guy. This is my highest recommendations this week, and everyone should be checking out this Bat title. Wes, like you said earlier, I know you love Batman and Robin, but I think after this issue, Dark Patterns has trumped Batman and Robin as the best Bat title.
It's definitely the most unique Batman title out there. Most Batman titles have a lot of things that you kind of expect. This one has a lot of things that you would never expect. So I will give him that. It is definitely original. And I guess we owe you a bit of congratulations. Naughty and Nice, the return, debuted on Kickstarter, and it's doing very well.
Yes, it did. Yes, it has. We already crossed $10,000 on Kickstarter. Our goal of $3K. Thank you very much, guys. It's only been a couple days, which is amazing. We appreciate it. We got some beautiful covers by Ebass, Elias Chatzudis, Ryan Kincaid, Draxgal, Pepper Rodich. Thanks. I hope you guys check them all out. But I hope you guys check out the story that Aaron Sparrow and I have done here with Naughty and Nice. Thanks to Marat Michaels and Clay McDonald Comics. Do not miss out on this comic, guys. This is taking Bad Girls and giving it a new twist.
And if you want more comic book reviews, maybe not just the best, but maybe some of the worst of the week as well, I do invite you to check out the Hot or Not podcast, exclusive on Thinking Critical Patreon, as well as channel memberships. And we talk about all the books from Marvel, DC, and independent comic books. Hope to see you there. There's a link in the video description.